Hi guys, hope you're having a wonderful start to the week. Today what I want to talk about is how to find focus and block out the noise. And I thought this was a good topic for today because the holidays are an easy time for you to really get caught up in the minutia, the drama, if it's my family, there's drama. But I think a lot of families experience that during the holidays. And also just the hustle and bustle. The holidays are a time for giving and for thanks, but I think sometimes people lose focus of what's important and they kind of get caught up in the rat race. And so this topic can apply to this scenario, but it can also apply to your business and through your life throughout the year. And it's kind of a carryover from my last live stream. My last live stream, I talked about how to kind of create a productive to-do list. So for today, though, I want to talk about keeping focus and blocking out the noise. And the noise is not necessarily like the physical, the actual noise, your kids screaming or whatever. What I want to talk about is that noise, but also there's a lot of mental noise that can keep you kind of distracted. So there's a few things that I have found to help. You probably have heard some of these things from a lot of other experts, but the number one thing I want to touch on is music. Now, I'm a big music person in general. Not everybody is, but I assure you that if you are open to it, you will become a music fan. So what works best is usually whether, and this works whether you're in a quiet office. I personally am not a big complete silence person. It actually, I find it to be more distracting. So I almost always have some kind of music or background noise or something going in the background. But ambient music works the best. And ambient music can be a variety of things, but the intention behind the ambient music is to actually, and sorry, I'm getting over a cold or in the middle of one or whatever, I'm pretending that it's not there. But it is something that's going to kind of calm you and kind of bring you to a zen and centered place. It's not something typically that you can sing along to. You might be able to, but it's usually just kind of some peaceful music. Tempo is something you really want to pay attention to also. If you are on a tight deadline and you're stressed, you may want to listen to something that's not quite as high tempo. Or if you're energized, you want to get going for the day, you might want something a little more up tempo. So you really want to pay attention to your moods when you're picking this music and how it's going to actually impact the productivity that you have and the focus that you have. Let's see. Familiar tunes, things you can sing along to, that's something that you could incorporate if you want, but I would recommend it being something that you've heard often enough and frequent enough where you don't feel the need to kind of sing along, because that kind of draws your attention away from what you actually want to do. Some songs, after you've heard them enough times, they literally become like background noise because you've heard it so many times. So that's something you might personally want to play around with. I tend to not play a lot of songs that I can sing along to, just because naturally I'm going to want to jump in. So, and so then there I am singing and trying to keep focused. So, ambient music, watch out for the tempo. Try to avoid familiar tunes. Ad-free, if you're going to use any apps, ad-free apps are better, because once you kind of get into that zone of listening to music and you kind of get into that place where it's playing in the background, you're focused, whatever, one of those commercial ads pops on and it totally can totally screw up your jive. So if at all possible, work with or listen to music through an ad-free app if you can. I promise it's worth the little bit extra money you might actually have to pay. And also leverage playlists. You can make your own, or you can use other people. There's other people on Pandora, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora. You can look up focus playlists, or relaxing playlists, or all different types of moods, upbeat. And you have all these different ones to pick from. And they're ones that people have already created. Or if you're not really a fan of that, maybe play around with it. And once you find something that you like, create your own playlist. So anytime you really need to have that focus, or you really need to calm down, you can just play that list, and it's actually almost more on autopilot than it maybe normally would have been. Where in the beginning, see, I like to mix it up again, because if I start hearing the same thing over and over again, it starts to get a little sleepy for me. But yeah, I would leverage playlists, because especially sometimes when you're kind of on the go, or you got to do something now, like you can just hit the playlist and go with it. Another thing, so that was all topic 1. That was music. And I hit on a lot in there, just because that is such a huge piece of it. And it's all about what you put in your ears and what goes into your brain. And the second thing is boundaries. Now, people talk about boundaries a lot. And when I talk about boundaries, I mean, just even think about the holidays, not even related to work, okay? You need to go to this family, you got to see this family, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to set some boundaries for yourself, or you're going to end up going insane. And so the same thing goes with trying to find focus and block out the noise. You can't block out noise if you don't give yourself boundaries. So, block, boundary kind of goes hand in hand there. So if that means you're in a coffee shop and you're like, okay, I want to block out the literal noise while I get some work done. What can you do to block out that noise? You can listen to some music. There's other things that you can do, but the boundary is, if that's not working and you're not getting it done there, as bad as you want to be at that coffee shop, you need to leave. Otherwise, you're not going to, that's your choice. That's the boundary. So make sure you set boundaries, not just for yourself, but with other people, so that you can get that focus and you can get productive and you can get things done. Equipment. That's the third point. There's different ways to do it. As always, there's tons of different technology. I really like my Apple AirPods. I also have, after a while, they kind of start to bother my ears a little bit. So I don't keep them in for a super long period of time. If I'm going to listen to music for a while, I have a set of headphones that are more comfy, a little bit bigger on my ear. And that also helps kind of create a sound barrier, so I only hear what I'm listening to. So that's nice. I got them on Amazon. They were like maybe $30 or $35, something cheap, nothing super fancy, but they do the job. They're Bluetooth. Then there's also, like at night, I like to, night or in the morning, I like to meditate, and I'll listen to meditations from the, Calm app, CALM, the Calm app. And, I have a headband that has headphones built into it, and then it covers up I can bring it down so it covers up my eyes, kind of like a sleeping mask. You don't have to do that. You can just wear it as the headband, but there's that. I also got that off of Amazon. And they have different cute styles and stuff. A lot of different companies make them now. But you definitely don't need to get the most expensive equipment to get what you want out of this. Now at home, if nothing's going on, which never happens, but if nothing's going on or I don't, I have a sitter for my daughter, I will sometimes put on a little Bluetooth speaker, so I don't have something on my head, and just kind of have that as background music while I work. So equipment, all these things that I'm talking about, you need to really look at yourself and say, okay, what's going to work for me? I can't tell you what the best music is for you, or the best what you should do in each specific scenario. This is something you're going to have to play around with, but finding focus, this is I've tried so many things. I mean, even the mental noise, not just in the holidays, but even the mental noise, which I talked about last week, where it's you have all these ideas. And so music is something I put on when I do that brainstorm activity that I talked about last week. So the equipment, really, what's in your budget? what can you, what's the most effective, what can you afford, what's the easiest for you to get, because this is, keeping it simple. You don't need to get the most fancy schmancy thing to have it work. And then the fourth thing is meditation. And if you're struggling, sometimes I've done this too, where I'm listening to music and I'm working. If you're struggling to get that focus, then the next thing you want to do is stop and do a little bit of meditation. And when I say meditation, it doesn't even have to be excuse me, sorry. It doesn't even have to be like a half hour or anything like that. It can just be a nice five minute or less quiet meditation where you can just kind of clear your mind and then start again. Kind of like getting a fresh palette. And then you try again with the ambient music or whatever music you're listening to and try to work on staying focused. So that's kind of my tip for today. Just to kind of run through the main points that I was talking about is the number one thing that I find and a lot of experts find to be helpful in finding focus and blocking out the noise is going to be music. So you want to find something that's ambient and relaxing. You want to find, and that's relaxing to you. It's your interpretation. So ambient and relaxing, something you can't necessarily sing to. You want to make sure that it has a good tempo for the mood or the objective of what you're doing. You want to make sure that it's not necessarily real familiar to where you can sing along with it. You want to avoid or apps with ads in them if possible. And use playlists. Then you talk about setting boundaries for yourself, equipment, and then also, last but not least, meditation. Very, very last thing I want to say, if you haven't yet, myself and my good friend Michelle Dale at Virtual Miss Friday is doing a giveaway, 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. We are on day 4 today. You can enter each day for more entries. It's absolutely free, and we're giving away over $8,400 worth of training materials and prizes. So I will put the link with the video if you want to register for free and get a chance to have one of our training programs. Love to see you on that side, and I hope you guys have found this helpful today. Have a good one. Bye.